All right, let's get started. I always get that little delay between when I start the stream and when it shows up on YouTube. Always has me. Looks like I'm just sitting there quiet, waiting for something to happen. But how is everybody doing? Can you guys hear me? Let's do a quick mic check. Make sure you can see and everything okay. Let's see. Yeah, looks like you guys can. Glad to have both of our Sarah in here. We have Heck Sarah, and we also have Sarah. Good evening, everybody. Give me a moment while I get started. I'm a little bit slow today. It's been it was a rough weekend. I didn't get too much sleep. I'm starting to prevent myself, trying to get out of drinking caffeine. That's a hard one for me. You guys see us drinking energy drinks. I'm trying to do it. Caffeine is a drug, to be honest, and it's a tough one to get out of. Just did your first $900 of the day. Great, congratulations. So give me a moment, guys. I'm getting some stuff set up on my end. Here we go. And as always, I guess we could just go ahead and dive into it while you are waiting for me. Welcome to Slow Markets, everybody. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. This is a slow markets class. We'll be doing, analytics of the live markets. As you guys can see behind me, I have the Japanese market. NKD is the ticker symbol. And we're going to be analyzing these live markets. And that being said, here is our top step risk disclosure here on our YouTube channel. So that way you guys know anything that I say is for educational purposes only. You guys know and understand how that works. Let me go ahead and get something. Just a second. Here we go. How's everybody doing? It is Monday night, Tuesday if you guys are reset. I did have a good winning day yesterday. I'm starting out slow markets negative. Today, I'm starting out not too great anyway in terms of my live account. And I'm just pulling up everything on my end so that way I could give you guys all the details. It's been rough for my live account the past couple weeks. And as you guys will probably know, let's see here. Last week was a rough week for my live account. And this week is starting off very similar. Yesterday I made $1,400, about $1,350 from a crude oil long, and then today I gave it all back. I gave that $1,400 right back. I was trying to get long the Nikkei, as you guys could see behind me. Let me get something. Perfect. So let's dive into it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask that into the chat. And if I miss it, go ahead and copy and paste. And our wonderful moderators will be sending me any of the questions that I have missed in Discord. And I try and get to all the questions. But let's dive into it. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about NASDAQ first. And you guys can see this is the NASDAQ. I'm going to start on a daily chart. As always, I look at today as a new day. Every single time I look and I get onto my computer screen at night, it's a new day for me. I usually go to the gym, I get home, I take a quick shower, and then I hop into the markets. So I literally just finished taking a shower about 30 minutes, 45 minutes ago, hop onto my computer, get ready for some slow markets class, and I'm looking at these markets brand new, just like you guys. So here's the NASDAQ on the daily, and as you guys could see, we've been kind of consolidating the past week or two, hovering around this zone. It is a rollover, so we just rolled over from last quarter's contract. So we were in March. Now we are in June, and this was the $18,000, that key psychological $18,000 level in March, and we're kind of there. I mean, it's, what do we say, violently unchanged. We were here at the beginning of February. We kind of consolidated near the end of February, And every time we have a rally, we push to an all-time high, we sell off, we push to an all-time high, we've sold off right back down into this zone. And we're still in a bull market. Nothing has really changed. You can't really, it's hard to change a market trend in just 1 or 2 days, right? Where we do have sell-offs, and these sell-offs have been being bought up. We're kind of in that zone again. So sure enough, we sold off right back into this zone. We failed to make a new low. So here on the daily, you can see we're still making higher lows, where from these areas, this is technically another higher low. And yeah, I'm not seeing any reason to, it's very hard to buy the market while we're here. It's also very hard to sell the market. I was a seller, the last, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It ate my lunch, and then Friday I ended off in a good note. Going into this week, I'm more of a buyer, even though I just got my butt handed to me moments before the stream on the Nikkei, and I'll go over that in a moment. So here's the daily. This was today, right? Monday, and we're kind of just consolidating. It looks like we might get a reversal and start heading to break the high of yesterday. So let's zoom in a little bit more. And sorry, guys, I'm not paying attention to the chat because, like I said, I am a trader and I'm analyzing these markets for the first time tonight. And so let's look at this. And I found this kind of interesting on the NASDAQ. So here was Sunday, right? This is Sunday's open. And we've sold off. We went up, tested it, sold off, tested it again. We sold all the way back down below, 18,200 and immediately found buyers. And we just tested that, after hours. And we kind of found some resistance. So what I'm looking for tonight and maybe into the morning, we do have big news event tomorrow, right? If you guys remember, what is it? CPI? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I haven't checked the news yet because I'm just starting this class. Is it CPI? Let me know in the chat. You guys are always well ahead of me. But if we do start to break out above this, yeah, CPI, thank you. If we do start to break above this, we could have a play to the long side. And so immediately just looking at this, maybe we do something where it's a buy stop. For example, if this is my entry, this would be where I'm looking to get in long. So for example, a buy stop here, maybe looking for some take profits around that 400 level, and then having our stop loss somewhere down here. So something like this maybe is what I'm looking at. It's hard to be a seller down here because we've sold off and the market's just been buying the dips. This is the first option I'm looking at going into tonight. This is an hourly chart, remember. So I'm going to continue to zoom in. So let's take a look at a 5-minute chart as well. Let's see. So yeah, that actually looks pretty dang good. It looks like maybe if someone had buy stops in, it went up and triggered them there. But I do like, this opening. This is the highest we've been since we've opened. Let me go ahead and pop out the chat so I could read it a little bit better. See here. Okay, so I'm definitely looking at something like this, a buy stop. So if we do break out, we could get a continuation and test maybe 400. But if we're looking at risk first, it's a little bit hard to manage the risk from this aspect where I don't like this as a stop loss. For me, our stop loss would need to be down a little bit, and that's just too big of a stop loss for me. Maybe something like this, hide the stop loss below these previous resistance and maybe below this, support. This is giving me a better risk reward, and it will allow me to even tighten up my take profit. So something like this, for example, is what I will be looking at between tonight and tomorrow, trying to find a way to get in long this market. And that's just 100% me, right? If you are bearish, essentially you kind of do the exact opposite. And maybe if we are looking for a continuation to the downside, then that might be a better risk reward. That might be a better area to limit your risk. We're already up 0.25% since we opened up at 5 p.m. Central. So maybe something where we get in short if we do start to sell off, and then we have a stop loss above that. So remember where our entry is. To get in long would make sense for my entry to get in as a stop loss. And then maybe take profits like this, maybe on the reverse, right? If we're using a stop. And what this means is if we sell off, then it will trigger me into a short, and then there's my take profit and stop loss. If I'm going a little bit quick, please feel free to let me know in the chat and ask questions, because I really want to get to this NASDAQ, or not NASDAQ, Nikkei trade that I have going on here in just a moment. Let's see. I think that's it. So let's get some questions on the NASDAQ. I'm not looking for too great of moves, preferably to the long side if we do break out and go into a positive this week. If anything, maybe a short if you are a little bit more bearish on getting into something like this, where you'd have a bit better of a risk reward to the downside compared to a breakout. And of course, we all know the other side is getting in long using a limit order. Yeah, I still don't see that great. Maybe something a little more dramatic like this. I don't know. We have CPI tomorrow, so always before big news events, I don't like to play breakout trades. And that killed me last week, actually, was shorting the market as we rallied up because we had big news the next day, and we ended up having a huge rally on the NASDAQ. We were up like 1.5%, and I was shorting the market. So sometimes it sucks for me with that mindset. I just do not like to play breakout trades before big news events. And tomorrow, I'm looking at that as a news event. Do you ever use trailing stops? I do not. If anything, I will trail the market, but I will trail it manually, not automatically. And a lot of the trades that we're going to be going over and that I go over during my slow markets class, they are trades that I will set, I will place, and then I'll go to bed. And I can't manually trail trades if I'm sleeping, right? And I don't set up automated trailing stops on my trades overnight. However, if I am trading and I'm awake and I'm in the markets, then yes, I will trail it, and I will trail it manually. And if you watched any of the recordings where I am trading the New York session last week when it was TopstepTV TAKEOVER, right? You guys seen me place trades, and I trailed that. I was actually shorting them. I actually got short NASDAQ up here on Friday. I was short right around here. And sure enough, I did trail it down for a pretty decent profit. Got stopped out a little bit earlier. It's give or take, right? When you do trail the market, sometimes the market will come up, stop you out, and then continue to sell off or go in the direction of your trade, which that's how it was for me Friday. Was I got in short up here. It was a great position. And sure enough, I got stopped out while I was trailing it. And then it was still a great profit, but it did continue to sell off. And it sold off really hard Friday afternoon, which it would have been great to hold it for a bit longer. What time frame is this? This is the hourly chart on the NASDAQ. And yeah, I wish I could probably go in and get rid of this, but this just shows me where the weekend was, and it gives me a pretty decent reference point. So here on the NASDAQ, I am definitely going to be looking for a breakout above Sunday's high. And if we do, I'm going to be looking for some targets closer to $400. So that's the level that I'm going to be playing between now and tomorrow. If we do break out, then we could most likely see 400 or at least somewhere close. However, we do have the CPI, which is, I'm a little bit hesitant on that, on taking breakout trades. So we will see. Dakota, do you use any indicators? I do not. If there is anything that I use, I would definitely say it would be like an ATR, just some way to gauge volatility. However, I've been watching the markets long enough. I've got used to how the markets act and react and what the volatility is just by watching it. For example, here's a 5-minute chart. So this is the 5-minute on the NASDAQ, and you could visually see the volatility, right? This is the New York session open, and you can see these 5-minute candles that's right behind me, and see how big they are. And you can see what the range is on these 5-minute candles. It's almost 50 points. And then compared to right now, after hours, these 5-minute candles, it's like maybe 3, 4, 5 points. And so there is a huge dramatic difference in volatility between the New York session and the Asian session. Also, when I'm trading during the New York session, sometimes an ATR or some type of volatility gauge helps me understand, what I can expect. So if I get into a trade, then a lot of times if, say, an ATR, average true range, is 20 points, then I should be okay with 20 points. I shouldn't be going for a home run trade of, 200 points on a 5-minute chart if the ATR is only 20. So sometimes that, I guess, in giving me a better perspective and a realistic point of view on the markets, in its current conditions, some days are less volatile than others. I used to use moving averages and maybe some Fibonacci levels, but I found, to be honest, very basic and very simple support and resistance that you guys see me do here in slow markets has been great and simple for me. Let's see. What is your money management strategy? Very simple and very basic. In terms of money management, I don't like to risk more than 0.25% of my account. Sometimes I'll risk a little bit bigger than that, just depending on what market I'm trading and how volatile it is and where my stop loss. But it's more about percentages for me. What's your bar setting on ATR? It's the default. I think it's 14. The settings on the ATR is 14. Sam, Dakota, what's your P&L on the year? Please share. Let's see. For my Topstep account, on my live Topstep account, I started some combines in January. And Hecker Sarah, she's the one in the chat. She double checks me on everything. And she can. I started my combines mid-January, and then I got past those, got into express funded accounts, 3 of them, and I was copy trading 3 express funded accounts, and I made up to, I think my high watermark was 86,000. Then I got transferred over to live. Let me see. Let me correct that. So $61,000. Then I got transferred over to live. And then I had, I think, 2 or 3 express funded accounts at the same time. And then I brought that up to 86,000. I took a payout, and then I've been struggling this month. This month I'm down about 30,000, so I'm around $47,000 for the year. $45,000 after today. So far my P&L here at Topstep for the year is about $45,000, give or take. That's about where I'm at. I just took some losses tonight on the Nikkei that I'm going to be going over. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, Sarah. That's no hiding. You can't hide anything. And that's why I love Topstep is there is no hiding. My losses are under a magnifying glass, just like my wins, where it's harder to trade under the pressure. It really is. I mean, trading and making money is already hard, but doing it under the spotlight in front of everybody is much harder. Yeah, I wish I could just reset my live account. I asked, but they told me no. I said, I asked, can I just wire you guys some money and then I could get back to where I was? But that's not how it works. So it's been fun. It's been great. Does indecisive price action like this not indicate some sort of change in sentiment? Coming from Jeff, I would say yes. The question is, like, this indecisive price action that we've been seeing in the NASDAQ, is it like a change in sentiment? And I'm going to say, yeah, it can be. And going back to this daily chart, so here's the daily chart on the NASDAQ, and I kind of just wanted to touch base on this because that makes sense. And that's a really good question, Jeff, that Sarah just sent me that. So you could see how clean this price action has been here on the NASDAQ, where we rally up. However, there has been plenty of times where we consolidate. See, this price action is not clean, but and same here, right? This price action, like some of this price action, it's not clean, which is fine. And we're seeing that again this past week. However, there's something a little bit different, and maybe you guys could visually see this. Do you see the volatility? Do you see how the volatility was really small in comparison to where we're at now? And it seems like as we continued, as we started to break new all-time highs, the volatility is increasing. So the average daily range during this mess is much, much higher than where we were back here. So down here, you could imagine, in one day, we were only moving, 200, 250 handles. And then, here we're moving, over 400 handles. So there's a big difference in volatility. As a day trader, we love this, right? We love this high volatility compared to this because there's a lot more opportunities and the markets are moving. And as a day trader, we love when the market moves and we love volatility. So there is something to be said, is that as we're starting to rally, there is a change in sentiment. I would say there's a lot more fear, I guess, coming up here. There's a lot more hesitation to just jump into the market. Because as you can see, when we sold off down here, it was just straight up. And we continued to push to new highs. And any breakout to all-time highs, there was continuation. We're not really seeing that as much. We've had breakouts to all-time highs, but there has not been that huge follow-through or continuation like we were seeing, back into this area. So there's definitely some sentiment of just fear, I think, into the markets, where people are a little bit scared because we've already rallied so far so fast, and you hear people we're overbought. The market just keeps going up and up, and so everybody, how many more buyers do we have left is the question, right? Where we have a lot of sellers, the sellers turned buyers. There was a lot of money on the sidelines, and then is there even more room to go up? I'm not sure. I'm not here to give my opinion on that aspect, but there is definitely something to be said where we have a lot more volatility and, there's not as much follow through to the long side as there used to be. So I hope that makes sense from that aspect. Let's see. Sorry if I missed questions, guys. Like I said, there's a lot of questions. We got a lot of traders in the chat. Let's go here. So now let's go to crude oil. Crude oil was good to me today anyway. I think we're still on April's contract for crude oil. Which trade copier am I using? The trade copier that I am using is Replicanto. Here's the nice thing. Topstep X has a trade copier built into it. So that's really, really nice. And I've been playing around with Topstep X. I'm excited to be switched over. I'm going to be getting me some combines in Topstep X probably this week, and I'm going to continue to practice it. But let's go over crude oil. You guys could see this is crude on crude oil futures. This is April's contract, and this is a daily chart. You can see we've been going up and to the right. Now, this is some messy price action. The trend is really, really ugly here in crude oil. It's been bar coding, and it's not very clear. This morning, I did end up getting into a long at about $77 a barrel in my live account, and I closed it out way too early. I closed it out for only $1,300 in 3 contracts. So I did get in long down here as we sold off. As you guys know, and as I've been analyzing crude for the past few weeks, I've been looking for crude to push and hold above $80 a barrel. And every time we have been selling off, I've been looking for that, and I've been looking at that as opportunities to get in long. And so sure enough, this morning we were down into this zone. We were at $77 a barrel. I got into 3 contracts long. I did close that early. I only took, I think it was like I sold them for 77, like 38, 39, and made $1,300. Hindsight's 2020. I really do wish I would have held those for a lot longer. I'll show you guys why when we zoom in and drop down to maybe an hourly chart, 5-minute chart, of why I closed them out early now that we have hindsight at our back. However, this is really bullish to me on the daily chart where we sold off, we found buyers, and we rallied all the way back up. And, this is a doji. Last time we seen something like this was basically down here, right? And then after we've seen that, we've seen a huge rally to the upside. So are we going to see another rally to test $80 a barrel? Not 100% sure, but if we are, this is a good sign, and this is a good start to that. I'm going to be looking for us to cross above yesterday's high of 78.40s and maybe start to get into some longs to see if we can run up and test $80 a barrel. So now if we go to a 60-minute chart. So now here's a 60-minute time frame. Give me a second while I get it set up. And yeah, there we go. That's as simple as it gets when it comes to why I got in long down around $77 a barrel, and I closed it out way too early. However, let's start to zoom in, and we could continue to analyze this. The market's going up and to the right. We're kind of consolidating in this trend line as we've seen on the daily chart. And whenever we come to the bottom of it, they have been good opportunities to buy and get in long and look for us to rally back up and test the top of this trend line. I think we're in that same situation. We sold off, we've rallied, we found buyers. We're now on an hourly chart. And so what I'm going to be looking for is very similar to what I was going over on the NASDAQ, right? Where if we do start to break out, and we do start to break out of these highs, I want to get in long and see if we could rally up, first target being probably around this 78.80s. Second target's going to be up here towards these higher, closer to $80 a barrel. And yeah, same thing. Like I said, guys, it's the same thing every single night, the way I'm talking about getting in and getting it out of my trades. The way I like to get in is using stops and limit orders, set my trades up for tonight, and yeah, so be it. I think this one, oil does like to stop hunt, where, for example, you could see it where we had this pivot here. We sold off, got into a lot of buyers, and then rallied right back. So I think I'm going to be looking for something similar. And what that is I'm going to be looking for oil to sell off, find some buyers, run some stops, and then have a continuation to the long side. So I'm going to be playing for that. And that being said, a great area that I am looking at. Now remember, I'm I'm setting up trades. I'm looking at these markets exactly like the way I would trade them. So the first area I see is down here to where we were pretty much closed. So maybe a buy limit in this zone is, now remember, these are trading concepts. I did share the risk disclosure. Let's make sure that's clear. So I would be looking for a buy limit, and what that means is if we sell off, then it would trigger me into a long, and then maybe a stop loss a little bit lower than that. And then I can start looking for my take profits up into this area. So I'm getting a really high risk reward. You can see it's probably closer to a 5-to-1, a 6-to-1. This is kind of like a rough draft trade. And then I'll zoom into a 5-minute chart and I'll continue to get in, be a little bit more accurate. So let's look at a 5-minute chart. So there's a 5-minute, and you can kind of see where my entry would be. So that would be my limit order. Actually, this might be a better place for a limit order because we do like to stop punt on oil, and if we do sell off, that could be a good area for a entry. And then I'll put my stop loss maybe somewhere down below this pivot. And so if my entry is at, I'm going to go ahead and put it in now. So if this is my entry, a round number for easy math, I'd probably get into 2 contracts, and then I would look for a stop loss maybe here. So something like this. I'm risking $300 per contract. So this is an example where I'd be risking, say, $600. And then if I put my take profits, let's see where my, maybe up here, and then let one run to see if we could push up above $80 a barrel. So this is something that I'm thinking of. And this is an example. If anything, maybe I put the buy limit down here a little bit more to see if we really do run it and have that whipsaw. So something like this is possible. Now I'm only risking a total of $500. So my risk is $500. And then my reward would be closer to 1,230. And then I will let one run. And so my reward would be a lot more than that if we do get a nice rally up above and maybe test 79, maybe $80 a barrel. That's a little bit of a stretch. I do like this take profit, maybe a little bit higher, closer to $79 a barrel. So something like this. Yeah, not 100% sure on this one. We'll see how it plays. Sometimes I'll set a trade up like this, and then I will go eat dinner. I'll go do something. Then I'll come back to the markets and double check to see, is this reasonable? Is this a trade that I am perfectly fine with going to bed? Now remember, these are OCO orders, and what this means is the market, even if it rallies up, it will not trigger me in. It will only trigger me in if we do sell off. It will trigger me into a long, and then I'm looking for the market to rally. So this is a low probable trade. Okay, so I will be losing a trade like this more than 50% of the time. However, the risk reward is, greater, 5-to-1 or 4-to-1 or greater, which means that statistically over the long run, if we're looking at expectancy, if I lose this, 70-75% of the time, the expectancy and, over the long run, which means I will be positive, right? So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I go over trades very similar to this almost daily, every single night, where these are higher risk rewards, but the probability of this trade working out is about, for me, about 30%, maybe 25%, just depending on how the market is reacting. So this is a low probable trade. However, it is a really high risk reward. The next way, which is kind of the opposite, it's a more higher probable trade, but the risk reward's not that great. And that being a breakout trade. So what that will mean is instead of a limit order, I'm doing a buy stop. And so this just triggers me in as we start to break out. Then I would have my take profits. You could see it's a little harder because the risk reward's not as great. That is not as good of a risk reward. Maybe something like that. Yeah, it's hard to get a great risk reward with breakout trades. I mean, at least for me anyway. I mean, definitely if you have different indicators, different setups, the risk reward could be, much different, much better, just depending on what you're looking at. But yeah, what this is saying is I will then get in if we do break yesterday's high, this pivot point. So maybe like this. And then the odds of it continuing are much greater, right? But then where do we put our stop loss? It's a lot harder to control risk on these breakout trades because we don't have great reference points for stop losses. Maybe a stop loss, maybe here, maybe down here. So maybe something like this, where one contract I'd be risking $1,000 on one contract to make over 1,000. So that's not too great, and it's just my opinion. Traders are perfectly fine with taking this, and you say that. Samuel says breakouts are 50-50 for me. I mean, that's about where they're at. I'm a little bit higher than 50-50 on my end. It's just hard for me. Let me see. Sorry, guys. One second. I'm trying to pull up something on mine. I'm going to pull up Nikkei here in a moment. And I could show you what I have going on there. Yeah, just as I was talking. Okay. Any questions? Let's do a quick Q&A before I start on Nikkei, and I don't want to get everyone too distracted. Thank you for being here so late. I mean, yeah, this is the time that I actually do trade. So yeah, even though it might be late for a lot of traders, might be late for myself or traders around the world, this is the actual time that I do trade. I do trade the Asian session, and I'm used to trading it at this time. So it might be late, but this is the way I do set up. I mean, for example, this trade that you guys see behind me on oil, and I could make it a little bit easier to see. This is a 5-minute chart, but most of my analysis is done on a 60-minute chart, as you guys seen, where I'll be looking at the 60-minute chart. I will be doing a lot of my trade analysis on a 60-minute chart, and these trades are lasting a lot longer. So they're lasting longer than 3-4 hours. This is something where I'll go to bed and I don't have to manage it. A lot of times I stop thinking about it. It's very hard to not think about trades, especially when they're running overnight, right? So yeah, that's kind of the way I trade. The New York session, I don't trade it too often. I've been practicing the New York session for the Top Step Trading League, which has been a little bit difficult for me to get used to trading it again, because I haven't traded the New York session for very long, or at least for a while. Let's see. So yeah, that's the way I trade. That's how it's been for me. And I've got a lot of traders, and yourself and all the traders here who do trade the New York session, but if they have the option to trade about this time, then they will, because this is a great opportunity to trade. We are not forced to trade only the New York session. We can place trades during the Asian session and the London session, very similar to this, right? So do you trade crude oil with the Asian Open? I do trade crude oil. It's not exactly the Asian Open. It's more like slow markets where I place trades about this time and and just like we're talking about right now, this is crude oil in front of me. This is the crude oil 60-minute chart. And if this trade gets triggered, like you see me have it on the screen where I have a buy stop, maybe something like this, a 1-to-1, this trade might not even get triggered. If we go sideways or we sell off, I will not get triggered into a long. So there's plenty of times where I'll place a trade, I'll wake up and nothing happens. It can be very, very boring. I don't place a lot of trades. I'm happy to get 2 to 3 trades a day. Of course, that's a lot different than the New York session, right? Where traders are going for a lot of trades. And there's a lot more trades happening because there's a lot more volatility. How you sleep well with trades open. So a lot of practice, and I'm not trading too big. So I think one of the biggest issues for traders when it comes to trading overnight or leaving a trade open for longer than an hour is traders like to get in too big of a position size. That being said, if you're in, say, 1 micro on the NASDAQ where it's only $2 a point, you don't even think about it. It doesn't mean a lot. NyQuil. No, I just got over being sick, guys. So last week I had really bad timing with my health, and the night before TopstepTV TAKEOVER, I got sick. I wasn't feeling good. So yeah, I was drinking NyQuil and DayQuil to help me get through and sleep and prepare. And it was a rough week for me last week. And starting out a little bit rough for me in terms of trading. This a lot really ugly price action and chop, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm okay with holding trades overnight because I don't trade too big. You guys see me analyze my risk every single night. I know what my risk is. I know what my reward is, and I know what, for example, a worst case scenario where no matter what happens, I have my stop loss, I have my take profits, and if I wake up, worst case scenario, I lose X amount of dollars. So let's see. I hope that's making sense, guys. Double bottom wick on Nikkei, Jacob. Let's pull up Nikkei. We'll pull up Nikkei. I'll show you my freaking loss on the Nikkei. Man, Nikkei's been. I took a loss on the Nikkei. Dakota, will you be offering the free reset you talked about Friday? Persistent trader. That was kind of a teaser. So what you're referring to is I've been pushing to get a fire drill or some free resets for my slow markets class. That's looking really good. It's not 100% confirmed on the day. However, I'm just letting you guys know Hecker. I was talking to some Topstep members behind the scenes. So for everybody, just so you guys know, you guys all like free stuff. It's not going. I'm trying to push to give free resets for slow markets class tonight, but I want to do it in a way that's rewarding for the traders who are here, relatively consistent. Not just come in and everyone who just shows up today gets an opportunity for a reset or gets a free reset. Nope, that's not the way I like to do things. It's going to be for the traders who are here relatively consistent. And I'm still figuring that out. So here's the Nikkei. And as you guys could see, this is a 100 tick chart. And if we start to zoom in or zoom out, sorry. So actually, let's do the analysis on the 60-minute because that's what I start with. Give me a second and let me adjust the chart to make it look good. So here's the 60-minute chart. You guys could see this is the Nikkei. We've been in a bull market. We've been rallying. We did sell off the past, week, and this has been a really strong sell-off. However, we got to an area that I like where there's a lot of support. in this zone. This is a big zone. It's not an exact number. And I know the chart's really small for you guys. I'll start to zoom in. And I have been looking for a market to have a little bit of a bounce, some type of a rally off this mess that we went through and broke above. So the Asian market, the Japanese market opens up at, tonight, right? During the Asian session, during slow markets. And you guys could see we were about right here. Let me zoom in. I could show you what I was looking at. We were at this zone. I was looking for a market to rally. This is where we were at. We did get a bit of a breakout, which was good. I was looking for a pullback and maybe a retest of this level of 38,300 zone. We did get that. And then what I do is I zoomed in. So I'll show you what it looks like zoomed in. This is a 5-minute chart. And so you can imagine what it looked like on the hourly, right? This is that price action that I was looking at. I was looking for us to break above it. We did rally. Then we got a pullback. I got in long here on this pullback on my live account. Unfortunately, we sold off. I took a loss. I took 2 losses. So let me make sure I get this correct. So I got in long here. I got stopped out. We did find some more buyers. So I got in long again. And then I got stopped out again. And then we had this reversal here. I got in long for a 3rd time. And sure enough, it stopped me out for a 3rd time. So unfortunate. I've been trying to get in, and now it looks like we're finally starting to find some buyers into this market. I'm trading this now on a combine account. So instead of a live, I've decided, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into a combine. I'll trade the combine to, tonight. And then I am on Power Hour tomorrow. And I'm going to trade this during Power Hour tomorrow as well. These combines. Well, maybe I might end up hitting the $4,500 take profit that you can do on this combine, because I'm currently long. Oh, it's not showing here. Oh, whoops. So 1 second. Let me see if I can get it to show. I thought I was showing it. 919. Okay. Yeah. So this is where I'm currently long. This is my stop loss. Where's that? So this is just a combine account that I got in long at this reversal. So I probably will hit that $4,500 max on this. I've been trading combines a whole lot better than I've been trading my live accounts. So yeah, I would rather be in a good position in my live rather than a combine. But yeah, this is just fake money, right? But practice like you play. I'm probably going to be trading this tomorrow during Power Hour. I do need to practice more during the New York session because of the Topstep Trading League and preparing for that, because we will be in the New York session. So it's definitely a change for me. This slow markets class and what I'm teaching is really good. This is the way I am trading. This is the way I do trade, and I do trade in my personal accounts like tonight. Richard Harris, I don't trade sim anymore. It's boring. I mean, to an extent, right? There is a reason. It's like saying to a professional athlete, like, oh, you shouldn't practice your free throws or practice. I think that's wrong, because I do believe that practice is very good. However, it can create bad habits if you don't practice correct. You need to practice like you're going to be in a game, right? And so very much like a live account, I need to practice like this is a live account. So yeah, and here we are. I'm probably going to hit my $4,500 profit on this. Now remember, this is a combine. It's not my live account. I took my losses in the live account, man. So here's that. That's saying a lot. Trading a personal account creates bad habits for yeah. It creates bad habits for. Yeah, I think you said that right, because only a small percentage of traders actually make money, right? So that makes sense. And so let me finish managing this. I'm going to try and get out of my position here. Like I said, this is a combine. I'm going to see if I can get out of it. This is actually, I'm right at almost to the 9,000 level on these combine accounts. So give me a second. You guys get to watch me manage this. Getting in and getting out. The way I like to get out, I do like to get out at the ask. So getting out as the market's going in my favor. And then this is another thing, guys, is always make sure when I'm getting out, I adjust my stop loss contract size as well. Okay, Mendez. Hi, Dakota. When did you open this Nikkei trade? I opened this Nikkei trade here, right here as we had that reversal. So, yeah, if it will let me out, we'll see if it will get me out of the rest of these contracts. Why not move your stop so you don't lose profits? I'm managing this live. I mean, if we do sell off, that's actually a good, maybe I just move it to break even. But I'm managing it live, so I'm watching the bid and ask and trying to scale out. Do you think trading combines at the same time as our XFA account is causing more conflict in our mind? Raji, I'm not 100% sure if I understand that question. So if you're trading, say, combines and XFAs at the exact same time, I would say yes. There could be a high probability that it's a psychological thing. I found that I've seen a lot of traders do just that, right? Where they trade combines good, maybe they struggle with XFAs, maybe they're trading both and they're doing good in their XFAs, and then they're struggling on their combines. But it's 100% a psychological thing. I think I see it too. And like I said, I'm not the best trader. I'm not an amazing trader, guys. I'm really just an average trader. And I see it as well. I've been struggling in my live account the past couple weeks, but I'm doing really good in combine accounts. And I'm not sure if it's just a pressure, it's a psychological thing. There is something to it, regardless of how long you've traded or how good of a trader you are. It's the difference between live and simulation. Do you scale into Nikkei trades? Yes, Yeti. I do like to scale into almost all my trades and all my positions, rather than just going all in with 5, 10, 8 contracts. You know, typically it's 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 as it starts to break out and go in my favor. And it also depends, right? Sometimes if I'm just going to trade 1 contract, then you can't really scale in with 1 contract, right? You have to just all in 1 contract, all out 1 contract. Or you drop down to micros, and then you can scale in using micros if that's what you are wanting to risk. Same, it was outside pressure that got me. Yeah, it's the outside pressure. So like right now, I am feeling a little bit of frustration. And yeah, this is a demo account. Because sometimes on a thin order book like the Nikkei, you don't always get the best fills. And we didn't see any follow through. So let me look and manage it over here on my right. So yeah, this is a little bit frustrating on me. I might just end up closing it out. Let me show you. Sometimes I do drop down to a 1-minute chart. And yes, this chart looks really ugly, and that's part of having a thin order book for a market. And you guys could see these little pivot points. We didn't get any dang follow through. That's a little frustrating. We'll see what happens. Bobby, what's your strategy for CPI? I'm not going to trade it. I am not going to trade the CPI. Yeah, I think I'm just going to let this trade. I'm going to move my stop loss back down to where it was and let this trade play out. Yeah, I'm going to let this trade play out. I closed most of my, or 3 of my position. I'm locked in $1,400 in profit. I'm just going to let this trade play out. That was a little bit frustrating for me. If you follow Mark Douglas or even Tom Hogard, it's not about the system. It's all about the risk. You can almost flip a coin on where to take position. Thoughts? Rupert, yeah, I think I say that. I've said it a few times here in this class, that it's 100% about the risk, where you can, just like you said, there have been studies done, and I've seen studies, and I've tested some of them out, where you can flip a coin, and if you manage risk correctly, you could break even or have a positive expectancy. Now, it's not for everyone, and I'm not recommending flipping a coin, but it just really highlights the importance of risk management, right? Like, if you're a great risk manager, then it shouldn't matter too much on like the exact getting in, getting out. Trying to think of a way to say this or to word this. Risk management is one of the most important things in trading. If it is the most important thing in trading. Nice more on that trade. Missed that question. Can we see Rip's P&L? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, you'll have to catch his stream in the mornings. He streams way early. He wakes up early. Rips is amazing. He's my trading buddy. He's on my team. And yeah, I would definitely recommend watching him. He does trade the volatile markets. He trades really, really well. He's a momentum trader. And yeah, I wish I could trade the markets like he does a lot of the time. Rips wakes up really early in the morning. A lot too early for me, to be honest. You need to take the money, geez. You will not walk past 45. I can't believe you are about to let this one go to 0. Tanya, yeah, this is a combine. I've already took profits on it. I'm up $1,600 plus whatever this is. So $1,700 on this. You passed 2 combines on the Nikkei. Yeah, Nikkei's a good market. It's been good and consistent to me. You can see the thin order book. Like, look behind me. You can see how hard it is on the smaller time frames. But it's been consistent. It has provided some good volatility at this time. And I've liked it. So, yeah. The edge or system makes things better, but I'm just trying to share. Yeah, there is no holy grail. Risk management is amazing. Having a trading system is always helps and make things better. So we're coming up on the 1 minute. So let's go ahead. Let's have some more questions before I end the stream tonight. This might be a trade that I just let run. I might close out of maybe 1 or 2 more contracts and then just let it run for the rest of the night. This is a good position. I like where my stop loss is. I like the risk reward. I'm risking, 38 from 38,200 down to 38,140. So I'm risking 60, and definitely could have 2-to-1, 3-to-1. And so I am perfectly fine with the risk. I've already locked in $1,600. And so you guys could do the math. Worst case scenario, take a small loss on the day for these. Best case scenario, I finish these combines up $4,500. So I've already accepted the risk. That's how it is. Maybe I close it out before I get to the $4,500, so I have something to trade during Power Hour tomorrow when I'm on TopstepTV. Or I just start another combine or trade a demo account. It's not really too big of a deal for me. Let me see on the 1 minute. If you switch back and forth between combine and live with a 50% win rate, you risk losers being in live and winners in combine. Troubled trader, 100%. I think that's what I've seen the past 2 weeks, or at least the past couple weeks, troubled trader. And essentially what you're saying is, and this is what I've been playing with, and maybe this is a little bit more advanced, which is okay. I'm okay going a little bit more advanced, guys. So in theory, if I lose a lot more than I win, okay? I lose 70% of the time. However, 30% of my trades will make up for my 70% of my losers. And now what you're saying is that if I'm switching back and forth, there's a chance that that 30% of my winners, which are much greater than my losers, will be in my combine, and then my losers will be in my live. And I think that's what's happened. It's frustrating. I've seen it, and I'm going to be re-evaluating my statistics this upcoming weekend, and I'm almost 100% sure that's what's happened, is that I take this past 2-3 weeks and I analyze the statistics. My losers are coming in my live account, and then when I do have a good trade, like the one that you guys see in front of you, that's been in my combine, and that's not good. I will consider it a win, though, in my overall trading. However, it just sucks that my losses have been in my live, and my good winners the last couple weeks have been in my combines. So that's a little bit more advanced than what I typically get in on this class, but it is the reality, and that is a down and a negative side to trading between like a combine, express funded, and like different types of accounts, where if your losses are in your live account, then you switch to a demo or a simulated account, then your winners are in that. That one does suck, but that's true. So, okay, guys. Yeah, I'm Richard. I'm 100% an introvert. I am an introvert at heart, but that's okay. Dakota, why do you choose to calculate your risk based off 150K account side instead of the drawdown? Because I trade like it's live money, Austin. I do have a live account. I do have a $50,000 live account here at Topstep, and I calculate my risk based off of that account. When I trade 150K combine, I just calculate it based off the account size. Practice like I play, right? There's nothing wrong. If you want to calculate it based off of drawdown, then you can. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have your own way of calculating risk, and it's a good risk management for you, and it works, then 100% do it. The reason why I do it like this is because I like it. If I say 150K, I practice like it's a $150,000 account. Yeah, so that is that. So I'm going to let this trade go. I might, and I most likely will end up closing it if we do push up back into this area, because I could only make $4,500 on this, and it looks like we are starting to push up, actually. So we'll see. This is I like this trade. Actually, give me a moment. I'm going to try and get out of it live in front of you guys so you could see. I know this is running late. Sorry, Topstep. But showing you guys this is more important than ending it on time. Right? So you guys get to see this. To be honest, when I was learning and when I watched traders, one of the most frustrating things for me when I'm trying to learn is as soon as they end or turn off the video or turn off the stream, then they do something. So you definitely have to, it's more beneficial so you guys could watch me close out of this position. And if I catch heat from behind the scenes, I don't care. I don't mind. They can shun me. They could give me the stick, but you guys need to see how I get out of this. I'm just selling at the ask as it's going in my favor. And then I need to make sure that I adjust my stop loss. I'm going to move it below this pivot now. And I'm continuing to get out as it goes in my favor. I'm actually going to put a sell limit up here. We do have this pivot. I'm getting really close to that $4,500 mark. That would be it. Let's see if we could get filled here. Now remember, fills in a simulated environment are a lot different than live. If this was live, I mean, I would still be getting the fills, but sometimes if it touches it, it will not fill you until the bid gets there. Sweet all. I would love to leave one in all night. However, I've reached max profit for these accounts. So yeah, as much as I would love to leave this in, it just reached max profit. Let me see if I could pull it up. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, see, it's reached max profit on these accounts, so I can't really leave it on overnight. Okay, let's see if this last one will fill, and then I'll do the same thing. So I think that's it. You guys could imagine that's kind of how I close, and that's maybe a promotion on Nikkei, right? So that's why I like Nikkei, is that was a big move, and there's the trade. So there's a fun trade for you guys tonight. That kind of gave you an example of why I love trading the Nikkei sometimes, and there's some nice volatility. That was not cheap. That was not a small move. If this was my live account, yes, 100%. I would be holding this, and I would be looking for a bigger move up. If this was my live account, I would actually be looking at this as a 60-minute chart. And my live account, I would be holding a trade overnight because we would have a chance to maybe test 38,600. I would multiple positions, close out some for profit, have one as a stop loss, and then just run over. So there we go. Wow, man, that was a great trade. So good night, guys. I will catch you tomorrow. I'm going to go get some dinner. And it looks like I'm now going to have 3 XFAs. Yeah, so there's 3 new XFAs for me, guys. Good night.